Billionaire CEO was waiting in court with his mistress to divorce his wife. She walked in with a newborn, and he was surprised. "Why didn't you tell me?" The words came out as a whisper, but they echoed through the silent courtroom like a gunshot. Isabel Rivera turned slowly, the infant carrier still in her arms, and looked at the man she had once loved more than life itself. Her laugh was sharp, bitter, the sound of something beautiful that had been shattered and poorly glued back together. "Why didn't I tell you?" Her voice remained calm, controlled, but beneath it ran a current of rage that made everyone in the courtroom hold their breath. "Perhaps because the last words you said to me before walking out of our 15-year marriage were that I was boring and passionless? Or maybe because you were so eager to start your new family with your pregnant mistress that you couldn't sign the divorce papers fast enough?" Dante Moretti stood frozen, his 6-foot frame suddenly feeling small in his $15,000 suit. "That's not fair." "Fair?" The word exploded from Isabel's mouth like she'd been saving it for exactly this moment. "You want to talk about fair? You cheated on me for 2 years. You got another woman pregnant while still married to me. You threw me away like garbage after I gave up my entire life, my PhD program, my dreams, everything, to support your empire. And now you want to lecture me about fair?" The pregnant woman sitting beside Dante's empty chair, Veronica Chen, stood up with visible effort, her designer maternity dress stretching over her swollen belly. "This is insane. She kept your child from you out of spite. She's clearly unstable." The judge, a woman in her late 60s with steel gray hair and eyes that had seen every kind of human drama, turned her gaze on Veronica. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. "Sit down, Miss Chen." The judge's voice could have cut diamonds. "You have no standing in these proceedings. You are not married to Mr. Moretti. You are, however, the reason these proceedings exist in the first place. So I suggest you sit down and be quiet, or I will have you removed from my courtroom." "But I'm carrying his child." Veronica's voice rose, tinged with panic and indignation. "So is the woman standing in front of me." The judge gestured to Isabel, or rather, so was she. "The difference is, Mrs. Moretti was actually married to Mr. Moretti when their child was conceived. Now sit down." Have you ever watched someone's carefully constructed lies crumble in real time? Have you ever seen the exact moment when a person realizes they've destroyed the one thing that actually mattered? Have you ever witnessed karma walk through a courtroom door carrying an infant and looking like victory? This is the story of Dante Moretti, a 36-year-old billionaire CEO who threw away 15 years of marriage for a younger woman, only to discover that the wife he called boring and barren had been carrying his child all along. A wife he humiliated with infidelity and cruelty. A wife who was about to show him exactly what he had lost. And this is the story of Isabel Rivera, who walked into divorce court with proof of the life her husband never knew existed, and who would make him understand that some betrayals cut too deep to heal with apologies. Stay with me, because what happens next will make you believe in second chances and question whether some people deserve them. And trust me, you have no idea how deep this story goes. If you believe in karma, if you've ever been betrayed by someone you loved, if you want to see what happens when a woman scorned gets her moment of truth, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment telling me, would you have told him about the baby? Because I read every single comment and I want to know where you stand. Now let me take you back to the beginning, to the moment everything changed. But first, you need to understand what happened in that courtroom. Dante Moretti had been sitting in the hallway outside courtroom 7 for 20 minutes. His Italian leather shoes tapping an impatient rhythm against the polished marble floor. The San Francisco family court building smelled like floor polish and broken promises. Outside, the summer sun blazed down on the city he'd helped build with his technology empire. Inside, he was about to finalize the divorce that would let him start fresh. Beside him, Veronica scrolled through her phone, occasionally touching her belly with the unconscious gesture of pregnant women everywhere. She was beautiful in the way that money could enhance. Perfectly highlighted hair, professionally maintained skin, a body that had been sculpted by the best personal trainers before pregnancy had softened her edges. "She won't even show up," Veronica said without looking up from her phone. She never had the spine for confrontation. "This'll be over in 10 minutes, and we can get lunch at that new place on Montgomery Street." Dante nodded, but something uncomfortable twisted in his gut. Isabel had always been quiet, yes, soft-spoken, but spineless? He wasn't so sure about that. The woman who had moved across the country at 23 to support his Dreams, who had given up her PhD program without complaint, who had stood beside him through the early struggles of building his company, that woman had possessed a quiet strength he'd stopped appreciating somewhere along the way. "I just want this over with," Dante said, straightening his tie. "The settlement is more than generous. She'll be comfortable. Comfortable." Veronica finally looked up, her lips curving into a smile. "Is that what we're calling throwing money at your guilt? I'm not guilty." Dante's voice came out sharper than he intended. "We grew apart. It happens. I'm just making sure she's taken care of. You're a good man." Veronica reached over and squeezed his hand, much better than she deserved. "I mean, what did she even do all day while you were building an empire? Shop and have lunch with friends?" She supported me. The words came out automatically, a script he'd been reciting to himself for months to justify what he'd done. But Veronica was already back on her phone, planning their post-divorce celebration lunch. The courtroom doors opened. A bailiff stepped out, clipboard in hand. Moretti versus Moretti. Courtroom 7 is now in session. Dante stood, buttoning his suit jacket with practiced ease. Veronica rose more slowly, one hand supporting her lower back. They walked into the courtroom together. Dante's lawyer, Marcus Webb, was already seated at the defendant's table, his briefcase open and files arranged with military precision. "Your wife's attorney hasn't arrived yet," Marcus said quietly as Dante sat down. "And there's no sign of Mrs. Moretti herself. We may be looking at a default judgment." "Even better," Veronica said from the row behind them. "We can make our lunch reservation." The judge entered, and everyone stood. Judge Patricia Halloway had a reputation for no-nonsense efficiency and a particular intolerance for wealthy men who treated their wives as disposable. Dante knew this because Marcus had warned him to be on his best behavior and show appropriate remorse for the marriage's failure. "Please be seated." Judge Halloway settled into her chair, reviewing the file in front of her. "This is the dissolution of marriage between Dante Moretti and Isabel Rivera Moretti, case number 37429. I see we're missing the respondent and her counsel, Your Honor." Marcus stood smoothly. "We request to proceed with a default judgment, given Mrs. Moretti's apparent decision not to contest the divorce." The judge frowned, checking her notes. "That's unusual. Mrs. Moretti filed a response to the petition. Her attorney confirmed attendance this morning. Perhaps she reconsidered," Marcus suggested. "My client has been more than generous in the settlement offer. There's really nothing to contest, Your Honor." A woman's voice rang out from the back of the courtroom, clear and strong and utterly confident. "I apologize for the interruption, but I believe there are significant complications to these proceedings that the court should be made aware of." Every head in the courtroom turned, and that's when Dante's world exploded. Isabel Rivera stood in the doorway, backlit by the hallway fluorescent lights, and she looked nothing like the woman who had left their penthouse apartment 18 months ago with tears streaming down her face and her whole world in ruins. This Isabel stood tall in a tailored navy suit that spoke of professional success. Her dark hair, which she used to wear long and loose the way Dante had liked, it was cut in a sleek bob that framed her face with elegant precision. She'd lost the softness that had come from years of comfortable marriage, replaced by the lean strength of someone who had fought her way through hell and come out forged in fire. But it wasn't her transformation that stopped Dante's heart. It was the infant carrier in her arms. The carrier was positioned carefully against her chest, and even from across the courtroom, Dante could see, the tiny fists waving above the blanket, could hear the small sounds of a baby just beginning to wake. "What the hell is this?" Veronica's voice cut through the shocked silence. "Mrs. Moretti." Judge Halloway leaned forward, her expression shifting from judicial neutrality to sharp interest. "Please approach." A woman in her 40s walked beside Isabel, carrying a briefcase that screamed expensive legal representation. The two of them moved down the center aisle with the confidence of people who held all the cards and knew it. "Your Honor, I'm Lauren Santos, representing Mrs. Isabel Moretti. We apologize for the dramatic entrance, but as I indicated in my call to your chambers, this morning, there have been significant developments that impact these proceedings." "What kind of developments?" Judge Halloway's eyes moved from the lawyer to the baby carrier and back again. Isabel reached the front of the courtroom and carefully set the carrier on the table, angling it so the baby was visible to the judge, but not to Dante. Not yet. She was controlling this moment, and everyone in the room could feel it. "Your Honor," Isabel's voice was steady, clear, and completely devoid of the emotion that used to color everything she said. These divorce proceedings were initiated 18 months ago by my husband. However, at the time of filing, I was approximately 2 weeks pregnant with his child. A fact I only discovered after he had already moved out of our home and into a condo with Miss Chen. The courtroom erupted. Veronica's gasp of shock, Marcus Webb's furious whispering to Dante, the court reporter's fingers flying across the keys, the bailiff moving forward in case order needed to be restored. Order. Judge Holloway's gavel cracked once, sharp and final. Order in my courtroom. The noise died instantly. Mrs. Moretti, is Mr. Moretti the father of this child? Yes, Your Honor. I have DNA paternity test results, birth certificates, and complete medical records documenting the entire pregnancy and birth. Isabel nodded to Lauren, who pulled a thick folder from her briefcase and handed it to the bailiff to deliver to the judge. Dante couldn't breathe. The courtroom felt like it was spinning. A baby. His baby. Isabel had been pregnant when he'd left her, when he'd called her boring and passionless, when he'd told her that Veronica was everything she wasn't, when he'd signed papers to end their marriage so he could start fresh with a woman who excited him. When had been the last time they'd made love? He tried to remember through the fog of shock. It must have been right before he'd told her about Veronica. One last night when he'd felt guilty about what he was about to do and had reached for the familiar comfort of his wife's body. Oh God, he'd gotten her pregnant and then destroyed her life days later. And that brings us to why she didn't tell you. Judge Holloway was flipping through the documents, her expression growing darker with each page. Mrs. Moretti, I have to ask, why didn't you inform Mr. Moretti about this pregnancy? That's when Isabel had delivered the devastating response that started this story. The one about him calling her boring and passionless, about him being too eager to start his new family, about her knowing he would try to take the baby from her just to punish her for existing. And now, Dante finally found his voice. That's not fair. He stood up, ignoring Marcus's restraining hand on his arm. Isabel, you can't believe I would have tried to take our child from you. Our child? Isabel's eyes, when they finally met his, were cold as winter steel. You gave up the right to call this child ours when you called me barren and defective, when you told me I was boring in bed and that's why you needed someone younger and more exciting. When you said, and I quote, "At least Veronica knows how to make a man feel alive," Dante felt the blood drain from his face. He'd said those things. God help him, he'd said all of those things during their final argument when Isabel had begged him to reconsider, to try counseling, to remember the love they'd shared. He'd been cruel because cruelty made leaving easier. He'd destroyed her to justify his own choices. Your Honor, my client is clearly unstable. Marcus tried to regain control of the situation. She kept Mr. Moretti's child from him for, what? How old is the baby? 3 months, Isabel answered. Gabriel Moretti Rivera is 3 months old. He was born 7 weeks premature after a high-risk pregnancy that I managed entirely alone. Premature? Dante's voice cracked. Was he okay? Is he okay now? Now you care? Isabel's laugh was bitter. Where were you when I was on bed rest at 24 weeks, terrified I was going to lose him? Where were you when I went into labor alone at 32 weeks because my mother was on a flight from Chicago and I had no one else to call? Where were you when he spent 4 weeks in the NICU and I sat beside his incubator praying he would survive? Each question hit like a physical blow. Dante gripped the table to keep from falling. I was at Veronica's baby shower, Isabel continued, her voice deadly quiet. I know because I saw the photos on social media. You were feeding her cake and laughing while I was in a hospital room being told my son might not make it through the night. The courtroom was silent except for the soft sounds of the baby beginning to fuss. Isabel immediately reached into the carrier, her entire demeanor shifting from righteous fury to gentle mother in an instant. Shh, baby boy. Mommy's here. It's okay. She lifted the infant from the carrier with practiced ease, and Dante got his first real look at his son. The baby, Gabriel, was small but alert, his eyes open and moving as he took in the unfamiliar surroundings. He had Isabel's olive skin and delicate features, but his eyes, when they briefly turned toward the sound of Dante's sharp inhale, were the exact shade of gray-green that Dante saw in the mirror every morning. Those were Moretti eyes, his grandmother's eyes, his father's eyes, his eyes. This was his son. He's beautiful. The words escaped before Dante could stop them. Isabel, he's perfect. He is. Isabel's voice softened as she looked down at Gabriel. He's strong and healthy now, despite his rough start. He loves music and hates baths and can already hold his head up for almost a minute. He's the best thing that has ever happened to me. I have a right to know him, Dante said, still unable to look away from the baby. He's my son. I have a right to be his father. You had that right when you were my husband, and we were trying for years to have a baby together. Isabel's eyes hardened again. You lost that right when you decided I was worthless because I hadn't gotten pregnant yet. You lost it when you called me defective. You lost it when you threw me away for a newer model. Mrs. Moretti, Judge Holloway's voice cut through the tension. I understand your anger, but setting aside the emotional aspects for a moment, the legal reality is that Mr. Moretti is the biological father. He does have parental rights. Then those rights should be supervised, limited, and contingent on him proving he can put Gabriel's needs above his own ego. Isabel held Gabriel closer. Your Honor, this man has never even held his son. He didn't know Gabriel existed until 10 minutes ago because he was too busy, building his new family to check on the woman whose life he destroyed. Your Honor, my client absolutely wants to be involved in his child's life. Marcus tried again. This is clearly a complicated situation, but complicated? Lauren Santos finally spoke up, her voice sharp with professional outrage. What's complicated is that Mr. Moretti abandoned his pregnant wife. What's complicated is that he has shown zero interest in Mrs. Moretti's well-being for 18 months. What's complicated is that he's sitting here with his pregnant mistress trying to finalize a divorce from the mother of his child. She's not my mistress, Dante said. Veronica and I are engaged. We're getting married as soon as the divorce is finalized. Oh, well, that makes it so much better. Isabel's sarcasm was scalpel sharp. You were only cheating on me with your future wife. How romantic. Judge Holloway held up both hands. Enough. Everyone sit down and be quiet while I think. The courtroom obeyed. Isabel sat at her table, gently rocking Gabriel. Dante collapsed into his chair, unable to process the magnitude of what was happening. Veronica sat rigid with fury, her hand protectively on her own belly. The judge read through more documents, occasionally making notes. The silence stretched until it felt like a physical presence in the room. Finally, Judge Holloway looked up. Here's what's going to happen. These divorce proceedings are postponed indefinitely while we establish paternity, custody arrangements, and a fair division of assets that accounts for the child support Mr. Moretti should have been paying for the last 3 months. Your Honor, Marcus started to object. I'm not finished. The judge's glare could have melted steel. Mr. Moretti, you will submit to a paternity test within the week, though I don't think anyone in this room doubts the results. Mrs. Moretti, you will allow supervised visitations starting immediately because regardless of your feelings about your husband, that child deserves to know his father, and Mr. Moretti deserves the chance to step up. Whether he takes that chance remains to be seen. Isabel opened her mouth to protest, but the judge shook her head. Mrs. Moretti, I understand your reservations. I understand your anger, but I will not allow you to keep a child from his father out of spite. You will allow supervised visitation. If Mr. Moretti proves himself to be a danger or a negative influence, we'll revisit the arrangement. But he gets a chance. Yes, Your Honor. Isabel's voice was tight with frustration. Mr. Moretti, I'm ordering you to complete a parenting course before any unsupervised visitation is allowed. You will also begin paying child support retroactive to the birth, plus all medical expenses Mrs. Moretti incurred during pregnancy and delivery. Of course, Your Honor, Dante managed to say. Whatever's necessary. We'll reconvene in 60 days to establish a formal custody arrangement. Until then, supervised visitation will occur twice weekly at a neutral location to be determined by the court-appointed supervisor. The judge's gavel fell. Dismissed. As people began to move, Isabel carefully placed Gabriel back in his carrier. Dante stood on shaky legs, wanting desperately to get closer, to see his son more clearly, to somehow bridge the enormous gap between them. Isabel. He started toward her. Don't. She held up one hand without looking at him. Not here. Not now. I just want to see him. Please, just let me look at him. For a long moment, Isabel didn't respond. Then, with visible reluctance, she stepped aside just enough to give Dante a clear view into the carrier. Gabriel was awake, his gray-green eyes unfocused but alert. His tiny hands were free of the blanket now, fingers spread wide as he discovered them over and over again. He made small sounds, not quite coos but getting there. The verbal experiments of a 3-month-old learning his voice. Dante felt his throat close with emotion. This was his child, his son, flesh of his flesh, blood of his blood. And he'd missed 3 months of his life. The birth, the first smiles, the slow development of personality and preference, all because he'd been too selfish to see what he had until it was gone. "Can I?" Dante's voice broke. "Can I touch him?" "No." Isabel's answer was immediate and final. "Not until the supervised visits start. Not until you prove you can follow through on a commitment." She picked up the carrier, and Dante saw the muscles in her arms were lean and defined. This wasn't the soft woman he'd been married to. This was someone who had been tempered by hardship into something harder and infinitely stronger. "Lauren, let's go." Isabel turned toward her lawyer, but Veronica was blocking the aisle. "This is insane," Veronica said, her voice shaking with anger. "You show up here with some baby, make wild accusations, and everyone just believes you? Some baby?" Isabel's eyebrows rose. "You mean my son? The one whose paternity test I brought? The one who looks exactly like his father? That baby? You're trying to trap him. You're using a child to manipulate him into staying in a dead marriage. My marriage was very much alive until your boyfriend decided he was bored." Isabel's voice remained calm, but her eyes were cold. "And I'm not trying to trap anyone. I'm perfectly happy raising Gabriel alone. I've been doing it for 3 months, and I'll keep doing it for the next 18 years if necessary." "Then why tell him at all? Why show up here today?" "Because a judge was about to finalize a divorce and asset distribution that didn't account for the child support I'm legally entitled to." Isabel shifted Gabriel's carrier to her other arm. "Because my son deserves financial support from his father, even if he never gets emotional support. And because, despite everything, I believe Gabriel should know where he comes from, even if where he comes from is a man who throws away his family when they become inconvenient." Veronica's face flushed red. "You bitter. That's enough." Judge Holloway had emerged from her chambers. "Miss Chen, you will step aside and allow Mrs. Moretti to leave, or I will hold you in contempt." Veronica moved aside with visible reluctance. Isabel walked past without another glance, Lauren following close behind. Dante watched them go, every instinct screaming at him to follow, to somehow fix this, to turn back time and make different choices, but his feet remained rooted to the courtroom floor. The doors closed behind Isabel and Gabriel, and Dante was left standing in the ruins of the life he thought he wanted, staring at the door and wondering how everything had gone so catastrophically wrong. Well, Veronica's voice was tight. That was a disaster. Dante turned to look at his fiancée, and for the first time, really looked at her. She was beautiful, yes, successful, ambitious, everything he'd thought he wanted. But standing there with her hand on her pregnant belly and fury in her eyes, she looked nothing like a woman who loved him. She looked like a woman who'd won a prize and was angry someone was trying to take it away. "I need to go," Dante said, grabbing his briefcase. "Go where?" "We need to strategize with Marcus about how to handle this. I need to catch her. I need to talk to Isabel." "Are you kidding me right now?" Veronica's voice rose. "She just humiliated you in open court. She kept your child from you for months. And you want to talk to her? She's the mother of my son." Dante was already moving toward the doors. "We need to figure out how to co-parent. We're supposed to have lunch. We're supposed to celebrate this being over. It's clearly not over, and I don't feel much like celebrating." Dante pushed through the courtroom doors and into the hallway. He spotted Isabel near the elevators, talking quietly with Lauren while Gabriel slept peacefully in his carrier. "Isabel," Dante called out, jogging to catch up. "Please wait." She turned, and the look on her face made him stop short. It wasn't anger anymore. It was exhaustion, deep and bone-weary, the look of someone who had used up all their reserves just to survive the last hour. "What do you want, Dante?" He gestured helplessly. "Can we talk? Really talk, without lawyers and judges and anger?" Isabel studied him for a long moment. Then she sighed. "Lauren, can you give us a minute?" "Are you sure?" The lawyer looked skeptical. "I'm sure. He's not going to hurt me. Not physically, anyway." Lauren moved a diplomatic distance away, but kept them in sight. Isabel set the carrier down and straightened, rolling her shoulders like a boxer preparing for another round. "You have 5 minutes," Isabel said. "Then, I'm taking my son home." "Our son," Dante couldn't help correcting. "Genetically, yes. In every other way that matters, he's mine." I'm the one who's been there for every moment of his life. You're just the DNA donor who happened to show up." The words stung, but Dante couldn't argue with them. "That's what I want to change. I want to be his father, his real father." "Why?" Isabel crossed her arms. "Is it because you actually care about him? Or because you can't stand the idea of me having something you don't control? That's not fair. You keep saying that." Isabel's laugh was hollow, like fairness has anything to do with what happened between us. "I know I hurt you." Dante took a step closer, and Isabel immediately took one back. "I know I was cruel and selfish, and I threw away something precious. But Isabel, I didn't know about Gabriel. You have to believe me. If I'd known you were pregnant, you would have what?" Isabel interrupted. "Stayed with me out of obligation? Resented me for trapping you? Used the baby as leverage to control me while you continued your affair? No, I would have." Dante stopped because he honestly didn't know what he would have done. 18 months ago, he'd been a different person. Selfish, entitled, convinced that his happiness mattered more than his commitments. "You don't even know," Isabel said softly. "You can't even imagine what you would have done, because the man you were back then was incapable of putting anyone else first." "And now?" Dante asked. "Do you think I'm still that man? I think you're a man who just got shocked into caring. I think in a few weeks, when the novelty wears off and being a father becomes inconvenient, you'll disappear, just like you did from our marriage. I won't. I swear to you, I'll show up for him. People who make promises like that usually don't keep them." Isabel bent down and picked up the carrier. "But I'm giving you the chance to prove me wrong. Don't waste it." She walked toward the elevator, and this time Dante let her go. He stood in the courthouse hallway, watching the elevator doors close on his ex-wife and his son, and felt the full weight of his mistake settle on his shoulders like a physical burden. Behind him, he heard Veronica's heels clicking on the marble floor. "So," her voice was cold, "are we going to talk about what just happened?" Dante turned to face her. "What's there to talk about? How about the fact that your ex-wife just derailed our entire lives? How about the fact that you're suddenly a father, and apparently that changes everything?" "It does change everything," Dante said. "I have a son, Veronica, a 3-month-old son who I've never held, who I've never even heard cry or laugh or make any sound. That changes absolutely everything. What about our baby?" Veronica's hand went to her stomach again. "What about our family? I'll be there for our child. I'll be a good father. But Veronica, I think we need to slow down on the marriage plans." Her face went pale. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I jumped from one relationship to another without taking time to figure out who I really am or what I really want. I'm saying maybe we moved too fast. We've been together for 2 years. We've been having an affair for 2 years." Dante corrected gently. "We've been engaged for 6 months. We don't actually know each other outside of hotel rooms and stolen moments. I know you." Veronica's voice shook. "I know you better than she ever did." "Do you?" "Because the woman I was married to for 15 years just walked into that courtroom and showed me parts of myself I didn't know existed. She showed me what strength really looks like. And I'm not sure you and I have ever been real with each other. So what? You're just going to throw away what we have?" "I'm saying I need time. Time to figure out how to be Gabriel's father. Time to deal with the mess I made. Time to understand what I really want instead of just chasing what feels exciting." Veronica stared at him like he was a stranger. "I'm 4 months pregnant with your child. I know, and I will support you and our baby. But I can't marry you right now. Maybe not ever. That wouldn't be fair to either of us." "Fair?" Veronica spat the word like poison. "You're choosing her. I'm choosing to not make another catastrophic mistake," Dante said quietly. "I'm choosing to grow up and face what I've done instead of running away to the next shiny thing. If you walk away from me now, I will make your life hell." Veronica's eyes glittered with tears and rage. "I will fight you for custody. I will go to the press. I will destroy your reputation. Do what you need to do," Dante said, and he was surprised by how calm he felt. "I deserve whatever consequences come, but I'm done running from them." He walked away from her, out of the courthouse, into the bright San Francisco afternoon. The sun was shining. People were going about their normal days, and somewhere in this city, his son was being taken home by a woman who had every reason to hate him. Dante pulled out his phone and called his assistant. "Clear my schedule for the next month. Everything. Board meetings, investor calls, product launches, all of it. Sir, his assistant sounded confused. Everything. I have something more important to deal with. He hung up and stood on the courthouse steps, looking out at the city he'd helped build. For the first time in 18 months, Dante Moretti had clarity. He'd thrown away his marriage for an affair that had felt exciting but was ultimately empty. He'd prioritized his ego over his commitments. He'd hurt a woman who had loved him unconditionally, and in doing so, he'd missed the first 3 months of his son's life. But he could change that. Starting now, the question was whether Isabel would ever let him close enough to try, and whether he even deserved the chance. Let me take you back now, back to where this all started. Because you need to understand how a marriage dies before you can understand how it might be reborn. 18 months earlier, the Moretti penthouse had been a showcase of modern luxury. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bay, furniture that cost more than most cars, art that museums had tried to buy. It was beautiful, cold, and increasingly empty, even when both of them were home. Isabel stood at those windows now, watching the sun set over the water. She'd been standing there for an hour, ever since Dante had called to say he'd be home for dinner. Actually home, not working until midnight and stumbling and smelling of scotch and someone else's perfume. She'd made his favorite meal, chicken piccata with angel hair pasta. It sat on the dining room table, carefully plated, slowly congealing. As the minutes ticked past 7, then 7:30, then 8. At 8:15, she heard his key in the lock. "Sorry I'm late," Dante called out, not sounding particularly sorry. Traffic was hell on the bridge. Isabel turned from the window. Her husband stood in the entryway, still in his suit, his tie loosened. He looked tired, but more than that, he looked distant, like he was already somewhere else in his mind. "I made dinner." She gestured to the table. "Oh." Dante glanced at the cold food without much interest. "I actually ate at the office. We had a working dinner for the development team. You said you'd be home." "I said I'd try to be home." "There's a difference." Isabel felt something inside her crack a little more. These little breaks had been accumulating for months now. Soon there would be nothing left but dust. "Can we talk?" she asked. "About what?" "About us. About why you're never here anymore. About where this marriage is going." Dante sighed and loosened his tie further. "Bella, I'm exhausted. Can we not do this tonight?" "When then?" "When can we talk about the fact that we're basically strangers living in the same apartment?" "That's dramatic." "Is it?" "When was the last time we had a real conversation? When was the last time we made love?" Dante's jaw tightened. "I've been busy building a company. You've always been building the company. That never stopped you from making time for us before." "Before what?" "Before Veronica Chen became your VP of International Development." The name hung in the air between them like smoke. Dante's face went carefully blank, the expression he used in hostile business negotiations. "What about Veronica? You tell me." Isabel's heart was pounding now. "You tell me why you smell like her perfume. Why you come home with lipstick on your collar that isn't my shade. Why she calls you at midnight and you take the call in another room. You're being paranoid. Am I?" Isabel moved closer, searching his face for some sign of the man she'd married. Or am I finally paying attention to what's been obvious for months? Dante set down his briefcase with deliberate care. "Fine. You want to have this conversation? Let's have it." He walked to the bar and poured himself 3 fingers of scotch, downed half of it in one swallow, then turned to face her with something that looked almost like relief in his eyes. "I'm in love with someone else." 5 words, 23 letters, the complete destruction of 15 years. Isabel heard herself laugh, a strange, disconnected sound. "Just like that? You're in love with someone else?" It wasn't planned. It just happened. Things like that don't just happen, Dante. You make choices. You chose to spend time with her. You chose to confide in her. You chose to touch her. Don't act like you're a passive victim of fate. You're right. Dante finished his scotch. I made choices, and I'm going to keep making them. Veronica and I are together. We have been for almost 2 years. 2 years. Isabel felt dizzy. You've been cheating on me for 2 years? I've been trying to figure out how to tell you for 2 years. How to end this without hurting you. And you thought the best way was to just keep lying. I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was just an infatuation. Maybe I'd realize what I had and come to my senses. Dante poured another drink. But it's been 2 years. and I'm more in love with her now than I was at the beginning. So, I guess I have my answer. What about me? Isabel's voice broke. What about our marriage? Our vows? What about them? Dante's voice was cold now, clinical. Do you really want to stay married to someone who doesn't love you anymore? You still love me. You have to. People don't just stop loving each other after 15 years, don't they? When was the last time we actually connected? When was the last time we had anything to talk about besides my work schedule? Because you're never here. Because you stopped making time for us. Or because we've grown into different people. Face it, Bella. You're not the woman I married anymore. The accusation stung. What does that mean? It means you've become comfortable, complacent. You stopped challenging yourself, stopped growing. You gave up your PhD program without a fight. You spend your days shopping and having lunch with friends while I'm building an empire. I gave up my program because you asked me to. Isabel's anger was building now, burning through the shock. You said you needed me to focus on being your partner, supporting your career, being available for business dinners and networking events. And you did. You were a perfect corporate wife. But that's all you became. Where's the passionate woman who used to argue with me about literature until 2 a.m.? Where's the person who had her own dreams and ambitions? You killed her, Isabel said quietly. You killed her by making me choose between my dreams and yours. And then you resented me for choosing you. Maybe, Dante shrugged, or maybe we were just too young when we got married. Too inexperienced to know what we really needed. And what do you need? Someone younger? More exciting? Someone who makes me feel alive. Someone who challenges me and surprises me and makes me want to be better. I used to do that. You used to. Past tense. Now you're just here. Furniture I'm used to. Comfortable, but boring. Boring. The word hit like a slap. I'm sorry. Dante didn't sound sorry, but you wanted honesty. And Veronica isn't boring? Veronica is brilliant, ambitious. She's building her own career while supporting mine. She's passionate about the company, about technology, about changing the world. She makes me excited to wake up in the morning. And I don't. You make me feel guilty, obligated, trapped in a life I've outgrown. Isabel wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly cold despite the warm apartment. So what now? You want a divorce? I already filed. Dante pulled papers from his briefcase. My lawyer will contact yours tomorrow. I'm being generous with the settlement. The penthouse, your car, a monthly allowance that will keep you more than comfortable. You've already filed. Isabel stared at the papers. You filed for divorce before even telling me you wanted one. I knew you'd try to talk me out of it. This was easier. Easier for who? For both of us. Rip the bandage off quickly. This isn't a bandage, Dante. This is my life. Our life together. A life that's been dead for years. We've just been too afraid to admit it. I wasn't afraid. I was committed. There's a difference. Commitment without happiness is just martyrdom. Isabel looked at this man she'd loved since she was 23. This man she'd sacrificed everything for, and realized she was looking at a stranger. Does she know you're doing this tonight? Dante had the grace to look uncomfortable. She's waiting at my condo. Your condo. How long have you had a condo? 6 months. I've been slowly moving my things there. Isabel felt like she was in a nightmare. 6 months of him systematically dismantling their life while she'd been oblivious. While she'd been trying to be a good wife, he'd been planning his escape. Is she pregnant? The question came from nowhere, but as soon as Isabel asked it, she knew. Dante's face confirmed her suspicion before his words did. Yes, she's 3 months along. The room tilted. Isabel grabbed the back of the sofa to stay upright. You got her pregnant, while still married to me. It wasn't planned. That doesn't make it better. That makes it so much worse. We want to get married before the baby comes. That's why I need to finalize this quickly. Isabel stared at him, this man who had promised to love her in sickness and health, for better or worse, until death parted them. This man who was throwing her away like garbage so he could play house with his pregnant mistress. Get out, Bella. Get out of my sight. Get out of this apartment. Get out of my life. It's my apartment. Then I'll leave. Isabel moved toward the bedroom, each step feeling like she was walking through quicksand. Behind her, she could hear Dante making no move to follow, offering no comfort, saying nothing to stop her. She threw clothes into a suitcase with shaking hands. grabbed her laptop, her phone charger, the few pieces of jewelry that had been her mother's. Everything else, all the expensive gifts and designer clothes and luxury items she left behind. None of it mattered. None of it had ever mattered. Isabel. Dante appeared in the bedroom doorway as she zipped her suitcase. For what it's worth, I did love you. Once. If this is how you love people, I'm glad you stopped. She pushed past him, dragging her suitcase toward the elevator. Dante didn't follow, didn't offer to help, didn't apologize or beg her to stay or show any emotion at all beyond relief that the unpleasant conversation was over. The elevator doors closed on the penthouse, on her marriage, on the life she'd built. Isabel made it to the parking garage before the tears came, made it to her car before the sobs started. She drove to a hotel and checked in with cash, sat on the generic hotel bed, and called her mother. Mama. Her voice broke. He's leaving me. He's been cheating and she's pregnant and he's leaving me. Oh, baby. Her mother's voice across the miles was warm and solid and safe. I'm so sorry. Do you want me to come? No. Not yet. I just needed to hear your voice. They talked until Isabel's phone battery was nearly dead. Her mother made her promise to eat something, to try to sleep, to call in the morning. Isabel lay in the dark hotel room and stared at the ceiling and wondered how she was going to survive this. 3 weeks later, she was throwing up in that same hotel bathroom, staring at a positive pregnancy test with a mixture of joy and absolute terror. She was pregnant. After 3 years of trying, after countless negative tests and doctor appointments, and growing despair that she'd never be a mother, she was finally pregnant. And her husband, her ex-husband, was planning a wedding to his pregnant mistress. Isabel sat on the bathroom floor and calculated dates. The baby had to have been conceived the night before Dante told her about Veronica, their last time making love. She'd thought he was being sweet, reconnecting with her. He'd probably just been feeling guilty about what he was about to do. She should tell him. That was the right thing to do. He deserved to know he was going to be a father. Except he was already going to be a father. With Veronica, the woman he'd chosen over her. The woman who was exciting and passionate and everything Isabel apparently wasn't. If she told him now, what would happen? He'd feel obligated to stay involved. Might even call off the wedding out of duty. Would grow to resent her for trapping him. Would fight her for custody, and with his money and resources might win. Their child would be torn between 2 households, 2 families. Would always know they were the accident, the unwanted complication. Would grow up watching their father's real family, the one he chose, the one he loved. Or Isabel could stay quiet. Let him build his new life. Raise this baby alone and give them all the love she had instead of splitting it with someone who didn't want either of them. It wasn't the right choice. It probably wasn't even a good choice. But sitting on that hotel bathroom floor with her whole world in ruins, it was the only choice that made sense. Isabel called her mother back. Mama, I need you. Her mother was on a plane the next day. Helped Isabel find an apartment. Held her hand through morning sickness. Went with her to the first ultrasound at 8 weeks. That's when they discovered she was carrying triplets. The doctor had been concerned. Triplet pregnancies were high risk, especially for a first-time mother who was already under tremendous stress. Isabel would need constant monitoring, would likely need bed rest, would almost certainly deliver premature. Are you sure you want to do this alone? The doctor had asked gently. The father should know. He should be helping you. But Isabel had seen the tabloid photos by then. Dante and Veronica at charity galas. Dante and Veronica at product launches. Dante and Veronica, beautiful and happy in building the life he'd wanted. She'd made her choice. She would live with it. The pregnancy was every bit as difficult as predicted. Bed rest at 24 weeks. Constant monitoring for preeclampsia. The terrifying realization at 32 weeks that she was going into premature labor, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. Her mother stayed with her through it all. Held her hand during the emergency C-section. Was there when she first held her tiny babies, each weighing barely 4 pounds. Lily came first, screaming her rage at the world. James came second, quiet and alert. And Gabriel came last, so small and still that for one terrible moment, Isabel thought she'd lost him. But he'd breathed. They'd all breathed. 3 tiny miracles who fit in her arms and filled her heart. Gabriel had to stay in the NICU for 4 weeks. Every day, Isabel sat beside his incubator, willing him to grow stronger. Lily and James went home after 2 weeks, and Isabel split her time between caring for them and being with Gabriel. Those were the darkest weeks. Exhausted, terrified, alone, except for her mother, watching other new mothers with supportive partners and wondering if she'd made the biggest mistake of her life by not telling Dante. But then Gabriel came home, and suddenly she had 3 babies to care for and no time to second-guess her choices. Her mother moved permanently from Chicago, helped with night feedings and diaper changes and the overwhelming logistics of raising infant triplets. Isabel enrolled in online college courses, determined to finish the degree she'd abandoned. It took her 5 years. 5 years of studying during nap times and after bedtime. 5 years of surviving on 4 hours of sleep a night. 5 years of being so broke that generic brand diapers were a luxury. But she finished. And then, because she was apparently a glutton for punishment, she applied to medical school. People thought she was crazy. Single mother of triplets going to medical school? Impossible. But Isabel had discovered something about herself during those years of struggle. She was stronger than she'd ever imagined. More capable. More determined. The woman Dante had called boring and passionless had been forged in fire into someone who could handle anything. Medical school was brutal. Raising 3 children while dissecting cadavers and memorizing the Krebs cycle required a level of time management that bordered on supernatural. But Isabel did it. Her mother watched the kids during classes and rotations. Isabel studied during every spare moment. Lily, James, and Gabriel grew up in hospital cafeterias and medical school libraries. They learned to be quiet during mommy's study time, learned to be proud of their mother's accomplishments, learned that family was the people who showed up, not the ones who shared your DNA. Isabel never told them about their father. What was there to say? She showed them photos from her wedding so they'd know where they came from. But she couldn't bring herself to explain why he wasn't there. When they asked, as they inevitably did, she gave them age-appropriate truth. Your daddy and I loved each other very much, but we wanted different things in life. He doesn't know about you because I chose not to tell him. It's complicated, and someday when you're older, I'll explain everything. That had been enough when they were little. But as they got older, especially James with his logical mind, the questions got harder. Did he do something bad to you? James had asked when he was 7. He broke my heart. Isabel had answered honestly. But he also gave me you 3, so I can't regret it completely. Does he have other kids? I think so. Yes. Do they know about us? No, baby. No one knows about you except me and Grandma. Why not? Because I wanted you all to myself. Was that selfish? James had thought about it with his characteristic seriousness. I don't know. Maybe. But I'm glad you did it. And that had been enough. Until it wasn't. Until Isabel saw the divorce proceedings notice in the business section of the paper and realized that Dante's marriage to Veronica was ending, which meant he was legally single, which meant the divorce he'd wanted from her had never been finalized because she'd never responded to the paperwork, which meant they were still married. And that brought us back to the courtroom, to Gabriel and his carrier, to Dante's shock and Veronica's fury and Judge Holloway's no-nonsense rulings, to the moment when 18 months of secrets came crashing down and 3 lives, no, make that 6 lives counting the children, changed forever. Isabel sat in her car outside the courthouse for 10 minutes after the hearing, her hands gripping the steering wheel and her heart racing. Gabriel was secured in his car seat behind her, content for the moment after his bottle. That had gone better than she'd expected and worse than she'd hoped. Better because the judge had been firmly on her side. Worse because she'd seen the look in Dante's eyes when he'd seen Gabriel. He'd looked devastated, awestruck, transformed, and Isabel knew that look. She'd seen it on her own face every time she looked at her children. That was the look of a man falling in love, which meant he wasn't going to disappear quietly, which meant her careful, controlled life was about to get very complicated. Her phone rang. Lauren Santos. That was intense. The lawyer's voice was professional, but warm. How are you holding up? I've been better. I've been worse. Isabel watched people come and go from the courthouse. How bad is this going to get? Honestly, it depends on Mr. Moretti. If he's serious about being involved, it'll be complicated but manageable. If he's just making noise to protect his reputation, he'll lose interest once he realizes how much work infants are. And if he tries to take them from me, he won't win. Lauren's confidence was reassuring. You have documentation of everything. The pregnancy he didn't support. The birth he wasn't there for. 3 months of solo parenting. No judge is going to give primary custody to a father who didn't even know his child existed. But he'll get visitation, supervised at first, and only if he completes the parenting course and shows consistent interest. A lot of men lose enthusiasm when they realize babies aren't accessories. They're hard work. Isabel thought about the look in Dante's eyes. He won't lose interest. Then you'll have to learn to co-parent with him, which won't be easy, but you're strong enough to handle it. After hanging up, Isabel checked on Gabriel one more time. Still sleeping, his tiny face peaceful. He had no idea his world had just changed, and neither did Lily and James. Isabel had left them with her neighbor for the court appearance, telling them only that she had important business to handle. But they were smart kids, perceptive. They'd ask questions she wasn't ready to answer. How do you tell your children that their father finally knows they exist? How do you explain why you kept them secret? How do you prepare them for the possibility of having a relationship with a man who might disappoint them? Isabel started the car and headed home, one problem at a time. First, she'd get through today, then tomorrow, then the week. That's how she'd survived the last 9 years, one day at a time, one feeding, one diaper change, one obstacle at a time. She could do this. She had to. For Gabriel, for Lily and James, for herself, and maybe, just maybe, for the small part of her that still remembered loving Dante Moretti before he'd broken her heart. The supervised visitation center smelled like industrial cleaner and stale coffee. Dante arrived 15 minutes early for his first scheduled visit with Gabriel, his palms sweating like he was about to pitch to hostile investors. Except no business deal had ever mattered this much. The supervisor, a woman named Mrs. Chen, no relation to Veronica, greeted him with professional neutrality at the door. "Mr. Moretti, you're early. Mrs. Moretti and the baby aren't here yet. You can wait in the family room." The family room was painted cheerful yellow with toys scattered across the floor and inspirational posters on the walls about the importance of active parenting. Dante sat in one of the small chairs clearly designed for someone half his size and tried to remember everything from the parenting course he'd been taking. Support the head. Never shake a baby. Burping prevents gas. Check diaper temperature with your wrist. The information swirled in his head like a foreign language he was desperately trying to learn before an important test. The door opened. Isabel walked in carrying Gabriel's carrier and a diaper bag that looked like it weighed more than the baby. She wore jeans and a simple sweater, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked tired, beautiful, but exhausted in a way that made Dante realize how much work she'd been doing alone. "Hello." Isabel's greeting was neutral, carefully polite. "Hi, thank you for coming. It wasn't optional." She set the carrier on the playmat and began unbuckling Gabriel. He's just eaten, so he should be content for a while. He'll need a diaper change in about an hour. There are diapers and wipes in the bag. Okay. And he likes to be held facing outward so he can see things. He gets fussy if you hold him too tight. She lifted Gabriel out, and Dante's breath caught at how much bigger he seemed than just a week ago. Babies grew so fast. He was already missing it. "Can I hold him?" Isabel hesitated, her arms tightening protectively around their son. Then, with visible effort, she stepped forward. "Support his head. Keep your arm under his bottom. Don't bounce too much, it upsets his stomach." Dante reached out, and Isabel carefully transferred Gabriel into his arms. The baby was so light, so fragile. Dante felt like he was holding the most precious and breakable thing in the universe. Gabriel's eyes, those Moretti gray-green eyes, focused on Dante's face with infant curiosity. His little mouth worked, making the small sounds Dante was learning meant he was content. One tiny hand grabbed Dante's finger with surprising strength, and Dante fell completely, irrevocably in love. "Hi, Gabriel. I'm your daddy." His voice came out rough with emotion. "I know I haven't been here, but I'm here now, and I'm never leaving again." From across the room, where she'd positioned herself with careful distance, Isabel made a small sound. When Dante looked up, her eyes were bright with unshed tears. "What?" "Nothing." She turned away, swiping at her face. "It's just, you look like him. When you hold Gabriel, I can see the resemblance. I wish I'd been there." Dante looked back down at his son. "For his birth. For everything. I wish you'd told me. And I wish you hadn't cheated on me and thrown away our marriage." Isabel's voice was sharp. "But we don't get to wish away the past. We only get to deal with the present. You're right. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. Isabel sat down in one of the small chairs. Apologies are cheap. Show me you've changed through your actions, not your words. I will. For the next hour, Dante held his son, talked to him in the soft voice the parenting instructor had recommended, changed his diaper with fumbling but determined hands while Isabel watched with critical eyes, fed him a bottle, marveling at how such a small person could eat with such focused intensity. Mrs. Chen observed from the corner, taking notes. At the end of the hour, she approached with a small smile. Very good, Mr. Moretti. You're a natural. I'm terrified I'm going to break him. That's normal. The fear means you care. It's the overconfident parents who worry me. After the visit ended and Isabel was packing Gabriel back into his carrier, Dante gathered his courage. Can I ask you something? What? The other children in the photos. From the courthouse. You were with 3 kids that day in the hallway. Who are they? Isabel's hands stilled on the carrier buckles. She didn't look up. I don't know what you're talking about. Isabel, I saw them. A girl and a boy, around 8 or 9 years old. They were with you. Are they? He couldn't even finish the question. Are they mine too? The silence stretched so long that Dante thought she wasn't going to answer. Then Isabel straightened, picked up the carrier, and finally met his eyes. If you want to be in Gabriel's life, you focus on Gabriel. That's the deal. You don't ask questions about my personal life. You don't investigate me. You don't push for more than I'm ready to give. So they are mine. I didn't say that. You didn't deny it either. Isabel moved toward the door. I'll see you at the next scheduled visit. Be on time. She left before Dante could respond, but he'd seen the truth in her eyes. Those children were his, which meant Gabriel wasn't his only child, which meant Isabel had been pregnant with multiples and had gone through it all alone. Dante sat in the empty visitation room, his head in his hands, trying to process the enormity of what she'd suffered, what he'd put her through with his selfishness and cruelty. Mr. Moretti, Mrs. Chen approached gently. Are you all right? How many? Excuse me? The other children. You've seen the file. How many children does she have? Mrs. Chen looked uncomfortable. I can't discuss Mrs. Moretti's personal information without her consent. Please, I need to know what I did to her, how badly I failed. The supervisor studied him for a long moment. Then she sighed. 3. She has 3 children, all the same age, all born the same day. Triplets. Dante felt the room spin. Oh my God, I have triplets. I've already said too much. Mrs. Chen moved toward the door. But Mr. Moretti, if those children are yours, and I'm not confirming they are, you should know that Mrs. Moretti has raised them beautifully. They're bright, well-adjusted, and clearly loved. Whatever she did it right. Alone. She did it alone, because I wasn't there. Then be there now, for all of them, if she'll let you. That night, Dante couldn't sleep. He kept seeing Gabriel's face, kept imagining 2 other children with his features, a girl and a boy, growing up without knowing their father. He'd hired the private investigator weeks ago, after the courtroom revelation. Now he called and left a message. I need everything. School records, medical files, photos, everything about Isabel Rivera's children. I need to know their names, their interests, their lives. And I need it yesterday. The information arrived by courier the next morning. Dante opened the envelope with shaking hands. The first photo showed Isabel at her medical school graduation 4 years ago. But she wasn't alone. 3 children stood with her, all around 5 years old in the picture. The girl wore a purple dress and had a gap-toothed smile. The boys were in matching button-downs, one grinning widely and the other with a more reserved expression. The caption on the photo read, Dr. Isabel Rivera celebrates her medical school graduation with her children, Lily, James, and Gabriel Moretti Rivera. Lily, James, Gabriel, his children, all of them, his. Dante's hands trembled as he flipped through more photos. First day of kindergarten, Halloween costumes, birthday parties, a chronicle of lives he'd missed entirely. Lily at an art show, standing proudly beside a painting of a sunset. James at a science fair, holding a trophy. Gabriel, younger in these photos, always between his siblings like they were protecting him. The investigator's report was thorough and devastating. Isabel had discovered she was pregnant 2 weeks after their divorce filing, had learned at her 8-week ultrasound that she was carrying triplets, had spent months on bed rest, had delivered at 32 weeks via emergency C-section. Gabriel had spent 4 weeks in the NICU fighting to survive, while Isabel split her time between him and his siblings who'd been released earlier. Dante read about the complications, the medical bills, the years of poverty while Isabel finished her undergraduate degree, and then somehow, impossibly, put herself through medical school. Her mother had moved from Chicago to help, had basically raised the triplets while Isabel studied and did rotations, had passed away 2 years ago, leaving Isabel completely alone with 3 7-year-olds to care for. And she'd done it. Graduated medical school with honors, completed a prestigious surgical residency, become one of the youngest cardiac surgeons in the country, all while raising the children he should have been helping with. Dante looked at the most recent photos. Lily, now 9 years old, was all long limbs and artistic intensity. She had his eyes and his mother's bone structure. James had his dark hair and analytical expression. And Gabriel, the baby who barely knew him, had apparently been the smallest and most fragile of the three. 3 children, 3 brilliant, beautiful children who shared his DNA and nothing else. The investigator had included their school records. All 3 were honor students. Lily had won multiple art competitions. James was in advanced mathematics and robotics. Gabriel was reading above grade level and showed exceptional memory skills. They were perfect, and they had no idea he existed. Dante called Isabel. She answered on the 4th ring, sounding wary. "What do you want?" "I know about Lily and James." Her sharp intake of breath was audible. "How?" "I hired an investigator." "I'm sorry, I know I promised not to, but Isabel, you were pregnant with triplets. You went through all of that alone because of me. You don't get to feel guilty now." Her voice was hard. "You don't get to make this about your pain when you caused all of it. I'm not trying to make it about me. I want to meet them. Please, let me meet my children. Gabriel is your child. Lily and James are mine. That's not how biology works. Biology is just cells and DNA." Isabel's voice shook with emotion. "Family is who shows up, who changes diapers at 3 in the morning, who sits through doctor appointments and school plays in every single moment of their lives. You're their biological father, but you're not their dad. I want to be. Let me try to be." "Why?" "So you can disappoint them the way you disappointed me. So they can learn firsthand what it feels like when you decide they're not exciting enough. I was wrong about everything." Dante stood and started pacing. "I was a selfish, entitled idiot who threw away the most important things in his life. But I'm different now. Let me prove it." "How?" "By showing up for a few supervised visits and thinking that makes you a father. By being consistent. By putting them first. By whatever it takes." Isabel was quiet for a long time. Dante could hear Gabriel fussing in the background, then her soft voice soothing him. "One meeting," she said finally. "Supervised by me. In a public place. And if you hurt them, if you make them feel unwanted or like they're burdens, you never see them again. I won't hurt them. I swear. You swore to love me forever too." See how that worked out. The meeting was set for the following Saturday at Golden Gate Park. Dante spent the week preparing like it was the most important negotiation of his life. He researched age-appropriate conversation topics, bought thoughtful but not extravagant gifts, practiced what he would say 100 times. Nothing felt adequate. Saturday morning, he arrived at the park 30 minutes early, found the picnic area Isabel had specified, sat at the table and tried to calm his racing heart. At exactly 10 o'clock, he saw them approaching. Isabel walked in the center, Gabriel in a carrier on her chest. On either side of her were the 2 children from the courthouse, his other children, his daughter and son. Lily was tall for 9, with dark curls pulled back in a ponytail. She wore jeans and a paint-stained t-shirt and carried a sketchbook. James was slightly shorter, his dark hair neatly combed, wearing khakis and a button-down like he was headed to a business meeting. He walked with the confident posture of someone who knew exactly who he was. Dante stood as they approached, his throat tight with emotion. "Kids," Isabel's voice was careful, controlled. "This is Mr. Moretti. He's someone I used to know. He wanted to meet you." "Why?" Lily asked with the directness of children. "Are you famous or something?" "Not famous. Just..." Dante looked at Isabel, who gave a tiny nod. permission to tell the truth. I'm your father." The silence that followed was deafening. James's eyes widened. Lily's mouth fell open. Even Gabriel seemed to stop squirming. "Our father?" James found his voice first. "The one who doesn't know about us?" "I didn't know about you," Dante said, honestly. "Your mother and I got divorced before she knew she was pregnant. She chose not to tell me, and I understand why. I wasn't a good man back then. Are you a good man now?" Lily's artistic eyes studied him with unsettling intensity. "I'm trying to be. I'm not sure I'm succeeding, but I'm trying. Why should we believe you?" James crossed his arms, protective and skeptical. "You left our mom. You weren't there when we were born. You didn't help when things were hard. You're absolutely right. I wasn't there, but I want to be now, if you'll let me." "For how long?" Lily asked. "Until you get bored? Until we're not new and interesting anymore?" The question, so perceptive from a 9-year-old, hit like a punch. Dante knelt down to be at their eye level. "Forever. For the rest of my life. I know you don't have any reason to trust that. I know words are cheap, and I have to prove it with actions, but I'm asking for the chance to try." Lily and James looked at each other, having one of those silent conversations that siblings who've been through everything together can have without words. "Can we talk to Mom alone?" James asked. "Of course." The three of them moved away, Isabel leaning down to listen as both children talked urgently. Dante watched his family, a unit that had formed and functioned perfectly, without him, and felt the weight of everything he'd missed. After 5 minutes, they came back. "We have conditions," James announced with the seriousness of someone negotiating a business contract. "Okay, what are they?" "You have to come to our school events. All of them," Lily said. "You have to be nice to Mom." James added, "She's the best mom in the world, and if you're mean to her, we don't want you around. You have to teach me about business." James continued, "And listen to Lily when she talks about art, and play with Gabriel even when he's cranky. And you have to mean it." Lily's voice softened. "You have to really want to be our dad, not just feel guilty or whatever." Dante felt tears threatening. "Those are very reasonable conditions. I accept all of them." "Good." Lily studied him a moment longer, then seemed to come to a decision. "Do you want to see my sketchbook?" "I would love to." For the next 3 hours, Dante got to know his children. Lily showed him her drawings, explaining her artistic process with passionate intensity. James quizzed him about his company, asking surprisingly sophisticated questions about business models and market strategy. Gabriel alternated between sleeping and watching everything with alert baby eyes. They talked about school, about favorite books and movies, about what they wanted to be when they grew up. Lily wanted to study art in Florence. James wanted to start a robotics company. Gabriel, according to his siblings, wanted to eat everything in sight and could already roll over both ways. "Tell me about when you were little," Lily asked during a lull in conversation. "Were you good at art?" "Not as good as you, but I liked to draw. My mother, your grandmother, she was an artist actually. She painted landscapes." "We have a grandmother?" James looked startled. "You have a whole family you've never met." Dante felt the weight of that reality. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. "If you want to meet them, I can arrange it." "Do they know about us?" Lily asked. "Not yet, but they will, if that's okay with you." The children looked to Isabel, who'd been sitting quietly on a nearby bench. She gave a small shrug. "That's up to you three. I want to meet them," Lily decided. "If they're nice, we'll see." James was more cautious. "Maybe start with just you first. Make sure you're actually going to stick around." "That's smart," Dante said. "I'm going to stick around, but you're right to want proof first." As the afternoon wore on, Dante watched Isabel watching him with the children. Her expression was carefully neutral, but he caught moments when it softened. When Lily made him laugh. When James explained his latest robot design. When Gabriel grabbed Dante's finger and held on tight. This was what he'd thrown away. This possibility. This family. For what? For Veronica, who was now suing him for palimony. For excitement that had faded into resentment within months. For his ego. Eventually, Lily announced she was hungry. James seconded the motion. Gabriel woke up and started fussing, clearly ready for a bottle. "We should get going." Isabel stood, gathering Gabriel's things. "Can I see you again?" Dante asked the children. "Would that be okay?" "Yeah," Lily said immediately. Maybe. James was still cautious. If you really come to our school stuff like you promised, I'll be there. Every event, every game, everything. We have a school assembly on Tuesday. James said, 3 p.m. I'll be there. And I have an art show Friday night, Lily added. At the school gallery. Wouldn't miss it. The children seemed satisfied. Isabel loaded them toward the parking lot, but Lily ran back and hugged Dante quickly before her shyness caught up with her courage. Bye, Mr. Moretti, she said. You can call me Dad, if you want, or Mr. Moretti is fine too. Whatever feels comfortable. I'll think about it. As they walked away, Dante stood in the park and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope, real hope based on actual possibility instead of fantasy. He'd met his children, all 3 of them, and they hadn't rejected him outright. They'd given him a chance. Now he just had to not screw it up. True to his word, Dante showed up at the school assembly on Tuesday. He sat in the back of the auditorium, watching James receive an award for academic excellence. His son's face lit up with pride when he spotted Dante in the crowd. After the assembly, James found him in the hallway. You actually came. I said I would. Lots of people say things they don't mean. I'm learning that actions matter more than words. James studied him with those 2 old eyes. You're learning that now? Aren't you like 40? 36. And yes, I'm a slow learner apparently. That got a small smile. Do you want to meet my teacher? She's really cool. She teaches advanced math, and she's helping me with my robotics project. I would love to meet her. Dante met Mrs. Patterson, who spoke glowingly about James's aptitude for STEM subjects. He saw James's robotics project, a complex mechanical arm that could sort objects by color. He praised his son's work, asked intelligent questions, and felt absurdly proud of this child he barely knew but loved completely. On Friday, he attended Lily's art show. The school gallery was packed with parents admiring their children's work. Dante found Lily's section easily. Her paintings were extraordinary, far beyond what he'd expect from a 9-year-old. One painting in particular stopped him cold. It showed a tree with strong roots and spreading branches, but instead of leaves, the branches held small portraits. He recognized Isabel in the trunk, solid and central. The 3 children were in the lower branches, and in one upper branch, barely sketched but unmistakably there, was a man's face. His face. You put me in your painting, Dante said when Lily found him. It's about family, she explained, about how families grow and change. The roots are the past and the branches are the future. I started it last year, but I added you this week. It's beautiful. You're incredibly talented. Thanks. She hesitated, then asked quietly, Are you going to keep coming? To our stuff? Yes. Even when it's boring? Even when it's the same school plays every year and the same science fairs? Especially then. That's what family does. They show up for the boring stuff and the exciting stuff and everything in between. Is that what we are? Family? Dante knelt beside his daughter. I hope so. I know I haven't earned that title yet, but I'm working on it. Lily considered this with her characteristic seriousness. Okay, you can keep trying. It became a routine over the following weeks. Dante attended every school event, every sports practice, every art class showcase. He learned that Lily hated math but loved history, that James was teaching himself coding languages for fun, that Gabriel had the strongest grip of any baby in recorded history. He also learned about Isabel in ways he'd never known her before, watched her parent with patient firmness, saw her juggle her demanding surgical career with being present for her children, witnessed the deep bond she'd built with them through years of being their only constant. One evening, after dropping the kids at Isabel's apartment following a visit to the Science Museum, Dante lingered in the doorway. Can we talk? About what? Isabel was corralling 3 children toward homework and dinner with practiced efficiency. About us. About where we go from here. There is no us, Dante. There's co-parenting. That's all. Is it? Because I've been thinking. That's dangerous. Isabel's tone was dry. I've been thinking that I made the biggest mistake of my life when I left you. That the woman I called boring is the most remarkable person I've ever known. That maybe, if you could ever forgive me, we could try again. Isabel froze. Slowly, she turned to face him fully. Try again. You want to try again? I want my family back. Your family? Her voice rose. You threw away your family. You threw me away like garbage. You built a new life with someone else. And now, what? You've decided I'm exciting enough after all? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? I meant I was an idiot. I meant I confused comfort with boredom and familiarity with stagnation. I meant I threw away something real and precious for something that looked shiny but was ultimately empty. And you think you can just waltz back in and I'll forget everything you did? No. I think I'll spend the rest of my life trying to earn your forgiveness. I think I'll show up every single day and prove I've changed. I think I'll be the husband you deserved and the father our children need. I don't need a husband. Isabel's arms crossed defensively. I've been doing fine without one. I know you have. You've been more than fine. You've been extraordinary. But maybe you don't have to do it alone anymore. I've been alone for 9 years. I'm used to it. That doesn't mean you have to keep being alone. Before Isabel could respond, James appeared in the kitchen doorway. Mom, are you and Mr. Moretti fighting? No, baby. We're just talking. It sounds like fighting. James looked between them. Are you going to make him leave? That's up to your mom, Dante said gently. Isabel sighed. Go finish your homework. I'll start dinner in a minute. After James left, she turned back to Dante. You need to leave. Isabel, I'm serious. You can't just drop a bomb like that and expect me to process it while I'm trying to get 3 kids fed and bathed and in bed. You can't make grand declarations in my kitchen and think that fixes anything. You're right. I'm sorry. Can we talk about it later? Really talk? Maybe. Probably not. I don't know. She rubbed her temples. Just go, Dante. Please. He left, but as he drove back to his condo, Dante knew he'd planted a seed. The question was whether Isabel would water it or rip it out at the roots. The answer came sooner than expected, but not from Isabel. Veronica went nuclear. A week after Dante's kitchen declaration, tabloid headlines screamed about the billionaire CEO's secret love child. Then secret love children, plural, as some enterprising reporter dug deeper. Photos of Lily, James, and Gabriel appeared online. Their school was identified. Reporters camped outside Isabel's apartment. Dante's phone rang at 6 a.m. with Isabel's fury. Fix this. Now. I'm trying. I have lawyers working on. Your lawyers aren't stopping photographers from following my children to school. Your lawyers aren't preventing strangers from knowing their names, their ages, where they live. Fix it, Dante, or I swear I will make sure you never see them again. She hung up before he could respond. Dante called his head of security, had a protective detail assigned to Isabel and the children within the hour, called his PR team and told them to shut down the story by whatever means necessary. Then he did something he should have done weeks ago. He held a press conference. Standing in front of microphones and cameras, Dante told the truth. I had an affair during my marriage. I betrayed my wife in the worst possible way. When she divorced me, I didn't know she was pregnant with our children. She raised them alone for 9 years while I was living my life without any knowledge they existed. The reporters shouted questions. Dante ignored them and continued. Isabel Rivera is the strongest, most remarkable person I've ever known. She put herself through medical school while raising triplets. She became a surgeon while being a single parent. She built an incredible life for our children without any help from me because I was too selfish to deserve her. More questions, more shouting. Dante raised his voice. My children are 9 years old. They are bright, beautiful, and deserve privacy. Anyone who publishes their photos, harasses them at school, or invades their privacy will face legal action. Is that clear? A reporter managed to be heard over the chaos. Mr. Moretti, are you and your ex-wife reconciling? That's up to her. I destroyed our marriage through my own selfishness. If she's willing to give me another chance, I'll spend the rest of my life proving I've changed. If not, I'll respect her decision and focus on being the father our children deserve. What about Veronica Chen? What about your child with her? I will be a father to that child as well. Veronica and I are not together and will not be getting married. We're working out a custody arrangement that prioritizes our child's well-being. One more question. Do you love Isabel Rivera? Dante looked directly into the cameras. I never stopped loving her. I was just too stupid to realize what I had until I'd thrown it away. Isabel, if you're watching, I'm sorry for everything, and I'll spend every day trying to be worthy of you and our children. The press conference ended in chaos. Dante's PR team looked ready to murder him for going off script, But he didn't care. The truth was out. Now Isabel would have to decide what to do with it. She called that evening. Her voice was tight. That was quite a show. It was the truth. You told the world you love me. Because the first do. Is that a problem? Isabel paused. It's complicated. The kids saw it. Your press conference was all over social media. Lily cried. James asked if we're getting back together. What did you tell him? That I don't know. That adults are complicated. That just because someone says they love you doesn't mean they won't hurt you. Fair enough. Dante's chest ached. What do you want me to tell them? Nothing. You've said enough. The media attention has died down thanks to your legal threats. The kids are safe. That's what matters. And us. Is there an us to talk about? Silence stretched. Dante could hear Gabriel babbling in the background. Could picture Isabel in her apartment, surrounded by the life she'd built without him. I don't know, she said finally. You hurt me so badly, Dante. You called me names that still echo in my head. You made me feel worthless. I know, and I'll regret that for the rest of my life. Regret doesn't undo damage. No. But maybe consistent action over time can start to heal it. Maybe. Isabel's voice was softer now. The kids like you. That's something. I like them too. I love them. I'm in awe of them. They're pretty great. She paused. You've been showing up. For all their events. Even the boring ones. Especially the boring ones. Why? Really, Dante? Why do you care now when you didn't care before? Because I grew up. Because facing my own mortality, seeing what I'd missed, meeting the children I should have known. It woke me up. Made me realize I'd been chasing the wrong things. And, if I believe you, if I let myself trust you again and you hurt me, I won't survive it a second time. Then, I won't hurt you. Simple as that. Nothing is ever that simple. Maybe not. But maybe it starts that simple. One choice at a time. One day of showing up after another. Isabel was quiet for a long moment. Have dinner with us. Tomorrow night. At our place. Let me see how you are with all 3 kids in their natural habitat. Not curated visits, but real life. I would love that. Don't bring anything expensive. Don't try to impress us. Just show up and be helpful. I can do that. The next evening, Dante arrived at Isabel's apartment at 6 p.m. with nothing but a bottle of wine and genuine willingness to help. The apartment was chaos. Lily had spilled paint on the living room floor. James's robot parts were scattered across the dining table. Gabriel was crying from his bedroom. Welcome to my life, Isabel said dryly from the kitchen where something was burning on the stove. What can I do? Get Gabriel. He needs a diaper change. Supplies are in his room. Dante had changed Gabriel's diaper dozens of times now during visits, but doing it here, in the baby's actual room surrounded by his things, felt different, more real, more like being an actual parent instead of a visitor. He soothed Gabriel, changed him efficiently, and carried him back to the kitchen. Isabel had salvaged dinner and was now helping Lily clean up paint with paper towels. Can I help? Dante offered. Set the table. Silverware is in the second drawer. Dante balanced Gabriel on one hip and managed to set the table one-handed. When dinner was ready, they all sat together. It was loud and chaotic. Lily and James argued about whose turn it was to clear dishes. Gabriel threw food. Isabel refereed with patient firmness. And Dante loved every second of it. This was what he'd missed. Not just the milestones, but the ordinary moments. The dinner table battles and the sticky faces and the sense of being part of something bigger than himself. After dinner, he helped clean up while Isabel supervised homework. He read stories to Gabriel while she got the older kids ready for bed. He sat on the couch with Lily while she showed him her latest painting, and James explained his newest coding project. When the kids were finally asleep, Dante found Isabel in the kitchen finishing the dishes. Let me. He took the sponge from her hands. You don't have to. I know. I want to. They washed dishes in companionable silence. When they finished, Isabel poured 2 glasses of the wine Dante had brought and led him to the small balcony off the living room. You were good with them tonight, she said, looking out at the city lights. They make it easy. They're exhausting. They're wonderful. Isabel smiled slightly. They are. Even when I want to tear my hair out, they're wonderful. You've done an incredible job raising them. I had help. My mother. She paused, her voice thickening. "She died 2 years ago. Heart attack. Sudden. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. How would you? We haven't exactly been in touch. Still, I'm sorry you lost her. And I'm sorry you had to grieve while raising 3 kids alone. They helped, actually. Having to keep functioning for them. Having to be strong because they needed me. It made the grief manageable." Dante wanted to reach for her hand but didn't. Not yet. Not until he was sure she wanted him to. "Can I ask you something?" "What? Do you think you could ever forgive me?" "Not now, necessarily. But someday?" Isabel looked at him, really looked at him, in the soft balcony light. "I don't know. Some days I think I already have because I see you with the kids, and I remember the man I fell in love with. Other days I remember everything you said and did, and I want to never let you close again. That's fair. It's not about fair. It's about survival, about protecting myself and them. I understand. Do you? Because I'm terrified, Dante. Terrified that I'll let you in, and you'll decide we're boring again. That the kids will love you and you'll disappoint them. That I'll trust you, and you'll break me. I won't. You can't promise that. People change. Feelings change. Then I promise that even if my feelings change, I'll never leave our children. I'll never make them feel unwanted or like they're burdens. I'll be their father, no matter what happens between us. That's a better promise." They stood on the balcony, not quite touching, not quite apart. The city hummed below them. Inside, their children slept. "I should go," Dante said finally. "It's late." "Okay," but he didn't move. And neither did Isabel. "Thank you," he said, "for tonight, for letting me be part of this. You're their father. You should be part of it. I don't just mean the kids. I mean you. Thank you for letting me see your life, for trusting me enough to let me in, even a little. Don't make me regret it. I won't. I swear." This time, Dante did reach for her hand, just held it gently, giving her every chance to pull away. She didn't. Her fingers curled around his, and they stood there in the darkness holding hands like teenagers on a first date. When Dante finally left, he felt something shift. A door opening that had been closed for 9 years. A possibility emerging from the wreckage. It wasn't forgiveness yet. It wasn't reconciliation, but it was a start. And for now, that was enough. If you're still with me, I need to know. Do you think Isabel should give Dante another chance? Do you believe people can really change? Drop a comment and let me know where you stand. And if this story is hitting you right in the feels, hit that subscribe button because you're not going to believe what happens next. The weeks turned into months. Dante became a fixture in his children's lives. He coached James's robotics team. He took Lily to art museums on weekends. He mastered the art of soothing Gabriel through teething. He also slowly, carefully courted Isabel, not with grand gestures or expensive gifts, but with small, consistent actions. Coffee delivered on mornings he knew she'd been on call, taking the kids for whole weekends so she could sleep, remembering the little things she mentioned in passing. He learned that she still loved Renaissance poetry, that she took her coffee with 2 sugars, that she'd been trying to finish her PhD thesis for 3 years but couldn't find the time. So he made time, arranged for a regular babysitter on Thursday nights so she could write, never pushed for more than she was ready to give. Just showed up and proved, day after day, that he'd changed. Veronica had her baby, a daughter named Sophia. Dante arranged generous child support and regular visitation. He was a present father to Sophia the way he should have been from the beginning. The first time all 4 of his children were together, ages ranging from infant to 9 years old, Dante felt his heart might burst. This was his family. Complicated, messy, born from his worst mistakes, but family nonetheless. 6 months after the courthouse revelation, Dante took Isabel to dinner. Just the 2 of them. A real date, not a CO parenting discussion. She wore a blue dress that brought out her eyes. He'd forgotten how beautiful she was when she smiled. Really smiled, without guardedness or pain behind it. "This is nice," Isabel said over wine and pasta. "Weird, but nice." "Weird how?" "Being on a date with my ex-husband who I'm technically still married to." "Are we still married?" "I thought the divorce went through." "It didn't actually. I never signed the final papers, so legally, we never divorced." Dante's heart skipped. "Why didn't you sign?" "I don't know. At first, it was because I was pregnant and overwhelmed. Then, because I was raising babies and couldn't deal with paperwork, then it just became this thing I kept putting off. And now I'm having dinner with you and wondering if maybe I didn't sign for a reason. What reason? Maybe I wasn't ready to let go completely. Maybe some part of me hoped you'd find your way back. Did the first find my way back? Isabel studied him across the table. I think you're finding your way to someone new, someone better than who you were. Is that enough? For us? I don't know. Ask me again in another 6 months. So there's a chance? There's always been a chance, Dante. The question is whether you'll be patient enough to wait for me to be ready. I'll wait as long as it takes. Even if it takes years? Even then, Isabel reached across the table and took his hand. I'm not ready to say I love you. I'm not ready to move back in together or play happy family. But I'm ready to try, to date you, to see if we can build something new from the pieces of what we had. That's more than I deserve. Probably. But our kids love you, and I'm starting to remember why I did too. It wasn't a declaration of love. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. But as they finished dinner and walked through the city holding hands, Dante felt like he'd won the lottery. The woman he'd thrown away was giving him a second chance. His children knew him and loved him. He had a family, broken and rebuilt and more precious for having been lost. 1 year after the courtroom revelation, Dante and Isabel stood in front of Judge Holloway again. But this time, they weren't fighting. Your Honor, Lauren Santos stood with barely concealed amusement. My client and Mr. Moretti wish to file a motion to dismiss the divorce proceedings. The judge's eyebrows rose. Dismiss? You're reconciling? We're trying, Isabel said, her hand in Dante's. It's been slow and complicated, and we're taking it one day at a time. But we're still legally married, and we'd like to stay that way while we figure out if we can make it work. Mr. Moretti, is this what you want? More than anything. Dante said, I threw away this marriage once through my own stupidity. I won't make that mistake twice. Judge Holloway flipped through files. Well, this is unusual, but I've seen worse cases have better endings. Motion granted. The divorce proceedings are dismissed. You remain legally married. The gavel fell. In the hallway outside, Lily and James were waiting with Mrs. Patterson, who'd agreed to watch them during the hearing. Gabriel was with a sitter. So? James asked. Are you guys still married? We are, Isabel confirmed. Does that mean Dad's moving in? Not yet. We're taking things slow. How slow? Lily wanted to know. You've been dating for like a year. Exactly. A year of Dad proving he's changed. But we need more time. The kids looked disappointed but accepting. They'd learned patience the hard way too. That night, Dante made dinner at Isabel's apartment. It had become his habit to cook twice a week, giving Isabel a break from the constant work of feeding children. As they ate, surrounded by chaos and laughter and the comfortable noise of family, Dante caught Isabel's eye across the table. She smiled. A real smile, warm and unguarded. And in that moment, Dante knew they were going to make it. Maybe not today, maybe not even this year, but eventually they would find their way back to each other, because love wasn't about grand gestures or perfect moments. It was about showing up, day after day, through the boring and the difficult and everything in between. It was about being the person your family deserved, even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. 2 years after the courtroom revelation, Dante moved into Isabel's apartment. Not the penthouse, not anywhere fancy. Just the modest 3-bedroom where his family lived. Lily gave up her room so Dante and Isabel could share. She moved in with Gabriel, who was now a rambunctious 3-year-old. James got his own room by virtue of needing space for his increasingly complex robotics projects. It was cramped. It was loud. It was nothing like the life of luxury Dante had once thought he needed. It was perfect. 3 years after the courtroom, Isabel finally said the words, I love you. They were standing in the kitchen after getting all 3 kids to bed. A normal Tuesday night. Nothing special. Except everything. What? Dante had been loading the dishwasher. I love you. I forgive you. I'm ready to really try this. All in. Dante dropped the plate he was holding. It didn't break, just clattered in the sink. He turned to face her. You mean it? I mean it. You've proven yourself. You've been patient and consistent, and you've become the man I always knew you could be. The man I fell in love with, but better, more humble. more present. Isabel, I'm still scared sometimes. Still remember the pain. But I'm ready to build something new with you. Dante crossed the kitchen and pulled her into his arms. Isabel came willingly, fitting against him like she'd never left. I love you, he whispered against her hair. I never stopped loving you. I know. That's why I'm letting myself love you back. They stood in their small, cluttered kitchen and held each other while the city hummed outside. Their children slept down the hall. Their life was chaotic and imperfect and more beautiful than anything Dante had ever built in business. This was what mattered, not wealth or status or excitement, just this: family, love, showing up. 5 years after the courtroom, Dante and Isabel renewed their vows. Not in a big ceremony, just a small gathering in their living room with their children and closest friends. Lily, now 14 and already being courted by art schools, read a poem she'd written about family and forgiveness. James, 13 and running his first actual business, served as best man. Gabriel, now 5 and reading chapter books, carried the rings. Sophia, Dante's daughter with Veronica, stood beside her half-siblings. She was 4 years old and adored her complicated family. Do you, Dante, take Isabel to be your wife again, knowing now what that truly means? I do, with everything I am. Do you, Isabel, take Dante to be your husband, trusting in the man he's become? I do. They kissed to applause from their small audience, and when they pulled apart, Dante saw his whole family, all his children, the woman he'd lost and found again, the life he'd almost destroyed but had been given the chance to rebuild. He saw forgiveness made real through years of work, redemption earned through consistent action, love that had survived the worst and emerged stronger. Sometimes people asked Dante if he regretted what happened, regretted the affair, the divorce filing, the years he'd missed. He always answered honestly, I regret the pain I caused. I regret missing the early years of my children's lives. But I don't regret where we ended up, because the man who caused that pain could never have appreciated what I have now. I had to lose everything to understand what mattered. I had to break before I could build something real. And Isabel, when asked if she regretted keeping the children's secret, said something similar. I regret that my children didn't know their father for so long, but I don't regret protecting them. I don't regret building a life where I learned my own strength. Sometimes you have to survive alone before you can truly choose to be with someone. Their story wasn't a fairy tale. It was messy and complicated and born from real pain, but it was real. And in the end, that mattered more than perfect. Because real love isn't about perfect circumstances or smooth sailing. It's about choosing each other, day after day, even when it's hard. It's about forgiveness that's earned, not demanded. It's about becoming the people worthy of the love you want. Dante Moretti walked into a courtroom expecting a quick divorce and walked out a father to a son he didn't know existed. That moment of shock became the catalyst for complete transformation. Isabel Rivera walked into that same courtroom expecting to finalize paperwork and walked out having upended both their lives. Her courage in revealing the truth, her strength in raising their children alone, her eventual willingness to forgive, those were the real miracles. And their children, Lily, James, Gabriel, and even Sophia, were the proof that sometimes the best things in life come from the worst mistakes. If this story touched you, if you believe in second chances and earned redemption, I need you to do something. Hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear that people can change. Drop a comment telling me your honest opinion. Did Dante deserve a second chance? Because here's the truth. We all make mistakes. We all hurt people we love. The question isn't whether we mess up, it's what we do after. Do we run and justify and blame? Or do we own our mistakes and spend years proving we've changed? Dante chose the hard path, the path of accountability and consistent action. And Isabel chose the equally hard path of forgiveness and vulnerability after betrayal. Neither choice was easy. Both were brave. Subscribe to this channel if you want more stories about real love, not perfect love, not easy love, but the kind of love that survives the fire and comes out forged in steel, the kind of love worth fighting for. Dante and Isabel's story reminds us that it's never too late to change, never too late to step up, never too late to become the person you should have been all along. But it also reminds us that change without action is just words, that apologies without behavior modification are meaningless, that love requires showing up, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. 10 years after that fateful courtroom moment, the Moretti family was whole. Complicated, yes. Blended and messy, absolutely. But whole. They'd built something beautiful from the wreckage of betrayal. Something real from the ashes of broken promises. Something lasting from the moment when Isabel walked through those courtroom doors carrying Gabriel and changed everything. And every year on the anniversary of that day, they celebrated, not the pain or the years lost, but the moment truth prevailed. The moment that set them all on a path to something better. Because sometimes walking into court with a newborn and shocking your ex-husband isn't an ending. Sometimes it's the beginning of everything that matters.